Welcome to the show, guys. Got an exciting one here for you. We're talking fantasy football draft 2022. A little bit of strategy for the first round. We're talking first round studs. Who's coming off in the first round? Is it going to be Jonathan Taylor? Is it going to be Derrick Henry? Who should you pick up in the first round? Who should you consider? Who should you possibly avoid? All in depth right now. We're talking first round of fantasy football 2022. Very early here, guys. We are in March. Now, I will tell you guys, the madness has started. March Madness. Whether you're filling out multiple brackets, betting on the national winner, whatever it may be, player props, game props, whatever it is, guys, now is the time to enhance that game watching experience. Head on over to mybookie.ag, use code FFC, and I'm telling you guys, you will enhance that game watching experience. And here's the cool thing, guys. You can secure your first deposit, and what they'll do, guys, they'll give you a bonus up to $1,000. This is huge, guys. So receive the bonus at mybookie.ag. Use code FFC. And again, the March Madness has begun. Dive in now. Player props, game props, whatever it is. Mybookie.ag, code FFC. Go create an account and get all the perks with the code. Go do that right now. All right, so let's dive into this. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and in the comments below, love to get your feedback, guys. Who are you? Who are you? That's the big question. Drafting in the first round. That's the big question. I just wanted to have an open discussion about it. So let's talk about some candidates for that first round, because it's very, very important to talk about the candidates for the first round. So the big candidate here, everyone's going to be talking about, is Jonathan Taylor. Very easy at running back. At wide receiver, when you're talking first round, Cooper Kupp and Davante Adams are in conversation. At tight end, Kelsey might go at the end of the first round, most likely the second round, but Kelsey's always producing. Quarterbacks, unless you're in a two-quarterback league, I don't see any quarterbacks going in the first round. So we are talking one quarterback league here. Now, even if I am in a two-quarterback league, I always tend to get a running back first and then go for the quarterback later. For example, Justin Herbert last year, he was a fifth-round pick on average in a one-quarterback league. In a two-quarterback league, obviously a lot higher. People were kind of gunning for your Pat Mahomes, that type of thing. So now we've got Allen, Mahomes, and Herbert at the top there, and they're probably going to come off the second or third round, I would say, even in a one-quarterback league. So I don't see Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes or Herbert coming off in the first round in a one-quarterback league, okay? So we want to focus on who's coming off in the first round, and it's going to be a Jonathan Taylor. It's going to be a Derrick Henry. Now, there is debate here because I'm looking at the consensus, the consensus rankings, and I go off that because that's where your buddies might be going off of if they haven't discovered me, or that's where, the magazines print off, the top 10 consensus, and that's where where you draft your team, that's where the league is going to have them, in the queue when you're doing your mock drafts and your actual draft in your league. These players are going to come up relatively high. So you're going to feel almost like tempted to go, oh, well, Christian McCaffrey's pretty high. I feel like drafting him in the first round. And he very well could be a first round pick, but I don't trust him. So let's just talk about it, okay? So running backs that go in the first round based on the consensus are Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, who's sitting sixth in PPR amongst running backs, Cam Akers, and maybe Joe Mixon. Now, Cam Akers in the mix, but he hasn't proven to me he's a guy that can get it done, being injured the first year or two of his career, okay? Now, I'm seeing now Javonte Williams slide up here in the top 10, understandably so. He's sitting at 10, but I like him ahead of Dalvin Cook. I like him ahead of Christian McCaffrey if Melvin Gordon's gone. At the time of this recording, there's talk that Melvin Gordon will not be coming back, being a free agent that he is. So I'm assuming that, he's not coming back, Melvin Gordon. I like Javonte Williams as a top four pick. I got him 4. I got him behind probably Najee Harris. I got Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, or Derrick Henry, Najee Harris. I'm still trying to debate on that. So let's just say Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, and then literally Javonte Williams if Melvin Gordon's gone. So Javonte Williams, if you're going to ask me, yes, 100% a first-round pick. Most likely at the end of the first round, if you're going there, you definitely want to secure him, especially if Melvin Gordon is gone, okay? Even if Melvin Gordon's there, I think they're phasing him out, but Javonte Williams is the future. And if you look at the way those guys run last year, 203 attempts for Williams, 203 attempts for Melvin Gordon, that's 406 attempts just for those two running backs. So we're looking at a 320 to 350 point floor minimum for Javonte Williams in regards to volume if Melvin Gordon's gone. So the ceiling is high. He's going to run, and he does well when he does run the ball, okay? 8 touchdowns were also hoarded away from Melvin Gordon last year. That he took them away from Javonte. That's going to go to Javonte. So we're looking at a 10-touchdown floor as well for Javonte, who finished with 4 rushing touchdowns. So Javonte Williams, the sky is the limit and can be, I would say easily, guys, a top 5, top 6 pick if Melvin Gordon's gone. So absolutely love him. We're talking first round here, okay? Jonathan Taylor, I love him, but I am seeing and projecting a bit of a decline here for Jonathan Taylor coming off that pinnacle year. So that's something you have to understand. And another disclaimer I want to make here, or a note I want to say, when you are drafting in the first round, you cannot rely heavily on the first round. You just can't. Like, the first round cannot be your make or break of your league, right? Because last year I won at Cooper Kupp, 4th round, right? I got him in the 4th round. He was like a league winner, right? I had Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was drafted in the 5th round. I got him for value. He finished on top, right? You look at Justin Herbert, you look at Cooper Kupp, you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, you look at Jamar Chase. None of these guys are first-round guys, but they finished near the top. That's what you got to know, right? Najee Harris, another guy I drafted, he was outside the top 10, right? And yeah, I may have drafted him in the 1st round. I didn't last year. I got him in the 2nd because that's where his ADP was going. People were sleeping on him, but he still finished top 3 amongst running backs. So I'm looking at these guys. I'm saying, okay, first round, yes, you want to secure the safest possible pick, the person that's going to get the most volume, get the most points, yes, but you shouldn't be, relying just on that. That's why I created the 16-round drafts, which will give you all the optimal players to draft in each round. So get the 16-round drafts, which I've also linked it here below. So we talked about Javonte Williams. Love him in the 1st round, okay? Depending, if Melvin Gordon's gone, assuming he is, love him. I think people will sleep on him. He's sitting top 10 on the consensus, so they are sniffing him out a little bit. They are all over that a little bit, right? They kind of jump on where the train's going, where the train was, and they know that Javonte Williams is going to get volume. That's okay. They sleep on a lot of other things. Now, David Montgomery here is sitting 15th amongst running backs. We're going to be talking running backs. That's why you got to hit subscribe. I'm just looking here. David Montgomery, 15th. Tariq Cohen's gone, and there's a coaching change, so I'm kind of liking him as a bit of a sleeper. He's sitting 15th, but we're not talking sleepers. We're talking first round. So I just David Montgomery just caught my eye. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor, I think there's going to be a decline, obviously, coming off that pinnacle year, right? It's tough because when people come off pinnacle years, it's very unlikely they're going to finish on top again. We saw this with Priest Holmes as kind of the only running back that's kind of done this in the past 20 years, did it in 2002, 2003. It's very hard to duplicate those numbers. We saw Derrick Henry coming off a pinnacle year, then getting hurt the year after. So, I like Derrick Henry as a bounce back, so I'm kind of leaning him ahead of maybe Jonathan Taylor, right? So Derrick Henry, absolute first round must pick up. Jonathan Taylor, you can't say he's going to get injured. He's going to get the volume there. There's going to be a quarterback change, obviously. Wentz is gone. That may change, and maybe they throw the ball more. We're going to have to see what happens after the NFL draft. Are they going to bring in receivers? What's the quarterback situation? If they're throwing more. Either way, I think Jonathan Taylor gets 300 attempts this year, and if he's healthy, he's going to get 12 touchdowns as a floor and around 1,200 yards as a floor, okay? So he's definitely a first-round pick, barring any type of injury. So Taylor, Henry, Najee, love him. Obviously, quarterback situation is going to be suspect there. Is it going to be Mitch Trubisky? Is it going to be Mason? Are those guys going to be able to run an efficient offense to make Najee Harris super viable in the receiving game as well? Because he got it done with the receptions last year, right? So I know Najee's going to be on the field for like 90% plus of the snaps. Will he get the receiving game? I still like Najee as a safe first-round pick. Love him. No matter what the quarterback situation is, though, I still love him. His receptions could go down, but that's it. So Najee Harris must first-round draft pick, okay? Now, here's the deal. Another fantasy football draft strategy tip. I'm only going running back first round. But if you were going to look at a wide receiver, I'm going robust RB. I don't waste first-round picks on wide receivers. We saw it last year, guys. We saw the value with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, just to name a few. Deebo Samuel was not a first-round pick, and he finished on top. Hopkins fell off, right? With wide receivers, you can get that value, okay? Jalen Waddle, right? He's sitting top 10 on the consensus rankings right now. He was 60th last year on the consensus rankings. So was Jamar Chase. He was in the 50th amongst consensus rankings. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who finished like 21st amongst wide receivers last year, was like 70th on the consensus rankings, going undrafted. Okay, guys? So you can wait on wide receivers. There's a ton of value, ton of depth at that position. You want to secure the most scarce position in the first round, which is the running back. No one's telling you this. They're like, Cooper Kupp finished on top. Draft him again in that order. That's what they tell you. No. That, decline is coming with Cooper Kupp, right? Different offense. Super Bowl hangover. Odell Beckham is there now, right? Things change. Things shift. Things move. Injuries happen. Just because you finished on top last year doesn't mean you're going to finish on top this year. And it's amazing how these consensus, they got to stop giving advice. all had Robert Woods ahead of Cooper Kupp last year on the rankings. They all had Brandon Ayuk ahead of Deebo Samuel last year. Where's Brandon Ayuk now? Where's Robert Woods now? Why aren't you guys talking about him? Why is Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel in the top 10 this year? Why? Because they finished on top last year. And this is what the BS advice people give you. And that's why you got to subscribe and get 16 rounds. And that's why you're going to be ahead of the competition. All right, guys? So if you are drafting a wide receiver in the first round, Jamar Chase is a guy that I like because I still think the ceiling is there, the youth is there, the talent is there. The targets weren't even, up there last year, and he still finished near the top. So I'm just going to pull up his targets right now. I think he had I'm just doing this off the top of my head until I pull this up. I think he had 128 targets. I mean, Cooper Kupp had 190 targets. So it's a totally different situation there when you're looking at ceiling, right? So when I look at ceiling at a wide receiver, Jamar Chase is a guy that's got it, right? So Jamar Chase, 128 targets, 81 receptions, and he finished third. Guys, third in standard amongst wide receivers. When you're looking at PPR, Jamar Chase finished fifth with only 128 targets. I want to emphasize that. I look at Cooper Kupp, 191 targets. He, 145 receptions, 16 touchdowns. Had his pinnacle year. He's coming down. Jamar Chase is going up. I'm going on the guy that's going to be potentially coming up. Right now, I may not invest a first-round pick on Jamar Chase. If he falls to the second, I wouldn't mind comboing a Derrick Henry or a Najee Harris with a Jamar Chase in round 2. But I got to see who's available. If Javonte Williams is there in round 2, I might combo a Najee and a Javonte. But I really feel Javonte is going to be coming off, mid-first round to late first round or very early in the draft this year, especially with Melvin Gordon potentially being gone. All right, so again, wide receiver, I'm probably dodging it. If I am going wide receiver first round, I may consider Adams. At the time of this recording, obviously, there's some talk about his contract issues. They only want to secure him for a one-year tender for a franchise tag. Obviously, Adams wants a mega contract. We're going to have to see how that goes. Obviously, they paid Aaron Rodgers. They got to pay his wide receiver. I don't know what else to tell you. But Adams, I don't know, man. When is that decline coming? I still think if he gets paid, him and Rodgers have one last dance, a big last dance, barring any type of injury. I still like Davante Adams. You could go Jefferson. I still think Thielen is going to be hoarding away a lot of those touchdowns. It could emerge as the wide receiver one still. He did get hurt near the end of the season, but I don't know. Jefferson's still solid. I do like him. But again, Jamar Chase as well. Tyreek Hill, a lot of people draft him in the first round. Very volatile. There's about 4 or 5 games you got to assume he's going to have under 10 points. You're going to expect disappointment. You're going to expect some boom games out of Tyreek Hill. Very, very common out of him. So, again, let's just recap first round. If it's a 2-quarterback league, you may want to consider a quarterback. I still go running back. I'm still going running back no matter what. Running backs to consider in the first round are obviously Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris. You might want to consider Javonte Williams if Melvin Gordon is gone. Again, you got to be careful with this first-round pick. There is other guys like Dalvin Cook who hasn't finished the season. I'm dodging him. Christian McCaffrey could be due for a bounce back. It's funny here because both Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey aren't far off in regards to who's more talented, but Saquon Barkley is currently sitting 14th on the consensus. McCaffrey's at 4. I don't get it. McCaffrey's only played 10 games in the past 2 seasons, and, he might be on a different team. We're not sure at the time of this recording in regards to his landing spot, and we're going to know more after the NFL draft and all this free agency trading happens here. But Christian McCaffrey, there is teams looking at him. Saquon Barkley may not end up on the Giants, but those guys could be first-round picks if they're in a situation where they get the volume and they stay healthy. They could finish on top. If not, I still think Saquon Barkley could be good value. I think Zeke Elliott could be great value this year, but we have seen a decline coming from him over the past 3 years in a loss of attempts to Tony Pollard. So, what I'm saying is, here's a cool thing transpiring here is that there is a ton of value at running backs that could fall. Saquon Barkley could be good value. Aaron Jones, I still think Dylan takes a step up. David Montgomery, sitting 15th on the consensus. Josh Jacobs, Michael Carter. There's some good value at running back that you can really combo a nice RB situation. You can have guys that are being drafted in the first round, guys like Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, that could really bust, and then you get your secure running back and get yourself stack a couple other value running backs below. And I'm going to talk about this, in the 16-round draft solution, and that gets released. You can pre-order now, but that gets fully released a week after the NFL draft, after we know who's who and how the depth charts lay out. But again, when we're talking first round, guys, very simple tip here: secure a running back in the first round no matter what. very scarce position, and there's only a handful of running backs that have minimal committees. You want one or two of those guys ideally. All right? So that's your first round, guys. Do not invest a tight end. Tight end, you can wait. Wide receiver, ton of value, ton of depth at that position. Cooper Kupp's definitely going to decline coming off a pinnacle season. Tyreek Hill's always a waste of a first-round pick. I mean, he finishes near the top, but he's very volatile game in, game out. If I am going a first round, I wouldn't mind Diggs, possibly Jamar Chase first round and a first round. But again, tons of value at wide receiver for days. Tons of value from Elijah Moore, Amon St. Brown, Devontae Smith, Chris Godwin signing a big contract. He could have a resurgence this year. You know, DeAndre Hopkins, he's sitting 16th amongst wide receivers. He was a first-round pick. Maybe he bounces back. Guys, tons of value at wide receiver. You can definitely wait and get a top 10 wide receiver after the third or fourth round. Easily. That's going to finish on top. We saw it last year. Okay, guys? And again, if you guys look at last year real quickly, Hunter Renfrow finished top 10. He was like undrafted, literally. Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel finished top 10 last year. Deontay Johnson, who I was saying to get last year, finished 8th, right? Jalen Waddle finished 13th, pretty much undrafted. So tons of depth at wide receiver. If you are looking first round, secure that running back, okay? There's some first round fantasy football draft strategy. And again, remember, it takes more than one round to win your league. Get the 16-round draft solution. Secure it right now at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. Thanks for being here, guys. Love talking fantasy football draft strategy with you guys. I'm out.